Hello and welcome to another Teacher's Corner. I'm Teacher Kirby, and before I get started, please remember if you like what you see, click that like and subscribe button, ring that bell so you get notified when I upload a new video, and please consider becoming a patron and supporting Teacher's Corner in that way. The link to my Patreon page will appear in the top right hand corner of this video. Alright, with no further ado, this week on Teacher's Corner we're going to be talking about duty officers. Not just duty officers in general, because I've already kind of touched on that, but specifically duty officers in relation to builds. And this is kind of a big topic, so I'm going to limit it to just the basics. A lot of people don't realize that you can use duty officers to enhance your build. So I've opened up my duty officer window, and as you can see here, I've clicked on roster. So I have my officer roster, which just shows me every officer that I have. Okay? And then under it there's two things that we're really going to focus on right now, and that's active space and active ground duty officers. Now these have an effect. So if you look here on the right hand side is my list of active duty officers that are enhancing my build. Okay, so I have here an exocomp and two Taurusex. And if you look, so it says in the description they're maintenance engineers, and it says space. Additional buffs applied based on type of battery activated. That means when I activate a battery, depending on what type of battery, it's going to apply a certain buff to my character. So if I activate a weapons battery, for example, it's going to apply a damage buff. So pretty simple, pretty easy to understand. And they do stack, and I can stack as many as 3 of them, so I have the maximum amount here. Alright, then I have Sunrup, and he is a sensors officer, and he applies a debuff targets offensive damage with sensor scan. So that means the offensive damage, the damage that my target is doing, will be debuffed when I use sensor scan. So they're going to be able to do less damage to us whenever I use sensor scan. Alright, and then finally I have a gravimetric scientist, and she gives me a chance to create an aftershock gravity well. Okay, now I can of course look at all of these. Oops, that was not what I wanted to do. I'll have to go find her again. Okay, but now I have all of these. Now purple is going to be have a better effect than blue. Blue is going to have a better effect than green, etc., etc. So if you have purple, it's best to use purple. Now, where was she? There she is. Okay. There, right click on her, and now you can see, so it gives me more details when I right click on her as to exactly what happens. So those are space. I can have as many as 6 if you've unlocked the sixth one from the Spire, which is a whole nother Teacher's Corner. Now for ground, these are mostly going to affect ground. However, there is one, Neil Falconer. He affects both space and ground. Okay, so, but you have to equip him on the ground. So it's kind of funky and weird, but hey, that's the way it works. Alright, so he gives just a 5% all damage buff. But, so sometimes it depends on what the officer says, depends on what it is, and as you can see, there are many different types, and they do many different things. And There are some like Space Warfare Specialists. This one gives increased damage versus Undine, for example. But they do many different things. I'm not going to get into all the ones there are and all the things they do. Suffice it to say, it is worth your time to go through and read what these say and think about what you are using. So, for example, it wouldn't give you a benefit to say put Agent Narul in where it says attack pattern beta restores hull when firing if you're not using attack pattern beta. So think it through before you put your DOFs in, okay? But some popular ones I can tell you, or let's see, oh, here's a good one. Adaku-kan. See, it's not good to use him if you're not using attack pattern delta. It's also not good to use him if you don't want extra threat, because he gives you extra threat generation. Specifically, he gives you plus 100 threat generation for 1.3 seconds, plus 100% threat generation for 15 seconds. So, that's very important if you're trying to draw threat, but it only works if you're using attack pattern delta. So, again, look through these carefully, okay? Figure out what the trigger is, figure out what you need, okay? And make your decision. So, like, for example, my battery duty officers here, I swap, or I go between the exotic particle flood battery, which it gives me a bonus of energy, extra energy in my subsystems, and a weapons battery, which it gives me a bonus of just a flat damage bonus. So, and this is all stacked, of course. See? As you can see, weapons battery increased damage by 10% for 20 seconds. Okay? So it gives me this for 20 seconds. And then it gives me, where is it? Yeah, it gives me the red matter capacitor bonus for the exotic particle flood. It treats it as a red matter. So it gives me extra energy, increases all power by 5. So it does 5, 10, 15, 10, 20, 30 damage. So anyway, so as you can see, the duty officers that I have here are specific to this build. This is a science build, that's why I have the creates additional aftershock gravity well. You know, things like that. So it's important to think about those things, but for those that didn't know, yes, you can use duty officers specifically to enhance your build for both space and ground. Alright, I'm sure people are going to have lots of questions, and there will be follow-up videos to this, but yeah, look carefully at the duty officers that you have, look at the duty officers that you buy, make sure you read exactly what that description says they do before you put it in your active slot, because, and there's the other thing I forgot to mention, because once you put it in that active slot, it binds it to you, to that character. You cannot trade it, you cannot sell it after that. Okay, even if you take it off of active space duty or ground duty. Alright, so I'm sure I'm going to get lots of questions about this. Let them fly. There will be follow-up videos, but in the meantime, this is Teacher's Corner, and I did Teacher Kirby. This was Teacher's Corner, and I hope you learned something. See you next time.